If you see my last video, then you know that 360 degrees wasn't just made up, it's actually a measurement. Degrees are originally measurements, and they have the 3.6-inch circumference ball where all the measurements are equal to degrees. So they say they were able to get the heights inside of the circle by forming triangles within the circle, but I'm sure they crapped their pants whenever they realized that whenever we found the triangle at 30 degrees, the height and the width of the circle, it actually formed a 30-degree triangle. And whenever they got the height and width of the circle at 45 degrees, it actually formed a 45-degree triangle. And whenever they got the height and the width of the circle at 60 degrees, it actually formed a 60-degree triangle. And every triangle is found at its degree point. But they found something very special about the 30, 60, 90 right triangle. They realized that not only the diameter was in the triangle, but the radius was as well. It's the only right triangle that contains the radius. This is a replica of the 1-inch radius circle. And all they had to do to get the value for this 1-inch radius was to take the height of the circle when it was equal to the radius and divide it by its mirrored width. You see, they didn't want us to know that you could get the value for this 1 by dividing the height of the circle when it was equal to the radius by the width of the circle. You see, they don't want you to realize that you could come up with the value for this 1 by dividing the height of the circle when it's equal to the radius by the width of the circle. And that the legs of the triangle, the heights of the circle at those degrees, are actually diameters of the many circles of the ball. Whenever you look at the heights of the circle in terms of being diameters of the ball, if you go to where the radius is, the height at 30 degrees, this circumference, its measurement, will always equal 180 degrees on your biggest circle. That's why they say 1 pi is equal to 180 degrees, because pi is the circumference right here, and that measurement will stretch halfway around the biggest circle. So whenever you take 180 and divide it by pi, you should come up with the same values as if you take the height of the circle equal to the radius and divide it by the width of the circle. And whenever you do, you find yourself in the 3.6-inch circumference ball, and pi is now the circumference at 60 degrees. So in the beginning, 180 divided by pi was dividing the 30-degree circumference by the 60-degree circumference, and 360 degrees divided by pi was dividing the 90-degree circumference by the 60-degree circumference. They got to teach you that degrees are made up because their value of pi is found at 60.769 degrees.